Now, I'm going to do something very rash, which is to propose a loose definition of a smart city, which is not, as I suggested before, I think, to do with digital technology. It's to do with getting things in the right place. Leighton, as you're saying, getting the cheap space there. Or, Louise, you're saying, getting all these bits of an ecology together, whether they're to do with smart technology or biotechnology or whatever, and putting things together in the right way. And Simon, I suspect that's what you're doing too in Kigali. I mean, Kigali is not known for its advanced technology. It may have it, but actually what you're trying to do is make something of what is inherently quite a nice place to live with a reasonable climate and actually making it better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is the microphone working? Yeah, I guess, the sort of digital smart technologies was not an integrated part of our thinking from day one on this project by any stretch. It's there to augment the opportunities that we've been thinking about separately. So we're slightly charlatans here in saying this because there is no money there. I mean, what we can't be doing is building these cities that people think are replicable when they're truly not, because they're funded, or not everything can have donated money to it. So it's ensuring that we understand the bottom line of how you can replicate these models.
And where you have money, it's not going to smart technology. It's going to things like basic public transport.
Or fresh water.
Yeah, which are even more important.
Yes.
And I suppose really the most sophisticated, as in advanced technology, is Pungal. Could you say a bit more about how the smart technology embedded in Pungal?
Yeah, so I mean, it's in all the infrastructure, but I think ultimately the smartness is about improving the user experience and improving the quality of life. I mean, that is the ultimate goal of all the technology. It comes about through the integration, the interconnectedness, and then the infrastructure that comes through all of that, both in the present and also future-proofing. And ultimately, it's about keeping the space people-centric and nature-positive. Yeah.
And is it part of a policy by the government of Singapore to open up the northern side of the island, which seems to me to be less developed than where we are here?
Yes. So they're bringing it up to become the North Coast Innovation Corridor to bring businesses and schools closer to homes. Yeah. So there'll be jobs for 28,000 different categories, mostly in the digital economy, as well as for 12,000 students. Yeah.
And Louise, I guess that the Shenzhen airport will become, part of a huge piece of urban development. Is that the case? What's happening beyond the limits of your master plan?
Yeah, so of course Shenzhen is undergoing enormous transformation. I don't know if anyone's been there in the last 10, 20 years, but it's every time I go across the border from Hong Kong, it's different. So there is a huge urban redevelopment of that Bao'an airport, or Bao'an area to the east of Shenzhen, and that comes down south towards Qianhai as well, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a large bay, and it's going to have the headquarters of Tencent and all these tech companies. So really the industry around there is all these basically tech and innovation. So the architecture of these precincts is extremely innovative. It's extremely young. It's extremely fresh. But I think in Shenzhen, technology is everywhere, and it's just taken for granted. And I think what we try to do in this project is to try and reconnect people with nature in a way that we expect, all these smart apps and everything. You can buy a can of Coke with your face, but often people are just completely focused onto their phones, and you see over there with young people that there's a real disconnect between, being engrossed in technology and nature. So what we're trying to do in this project is really reconnect people with nature again and back, biophilia and the healthy benefits that come with that.
And Leighton, tell us about the facade as the site of social equity, which is one of the, I think, things that came through from your presentation.
I think as part of that, if I can just set the scene for that, the notions of repurposing empty sites in the city is part of a much bigger notion of what a smart city does. It doesn't simply repeat the same mistakes as before, nor does it simply use the existing technology and make things bigger or shinier. The issue, I think, is something to do with making materials that are new or reused, usable and recyclable. And it's about making the skin of a building that is responsive to its activity, especially when you have so much of it. And I think there's a question of cost that is attached to that. And alongside that, there's a question of kind of social equity. How on earth do you deal with the notions of people who can no longer afford to live in the middle of the city, who've been driven out? In fact, you kill the city. It's of no benefit to anyone. So that's my kind of wonder. And I think there are some developers who are thinking about what they might be able to do in the future and how are they going to address that problem as part of, I suppose, governmental issues as well as social inclusion.
Yeah, and I think it's also about showing how a city can be the site for intelligent activity.
Yes.
How the fabric of the city can encourage people to think for themselves or to learn from their experiences, whatever they may be. So it's about giving people agency in their own lives.
Completely. I mean, and that is everything from the spaces you make and how they can adapt them, through to where you put them. I mean, a number of us are looking at interchanges. This sits above an interchange, uses some of the cross benefit from the interchange, and stitches the city across. It helps everybody. But also, we know what doesn't work in Detroit because the center of the city is denuded completely. Yeah. And you have people like Fiesta Gates trying to make one or two houses into interesting places to make sites. Well, we can do better than that. And developers can really make a difference and make great profit and share that with a whole range of different tiers of price points. That's got to be an important thing.
No, I think that's right. So I think, four very interesting projects, each of them looking at a slightly different way of how you make an intelligent community through an intelligent city. So thank you very much, and we'll reconvene here in about just under 10 minutes to look at our last session on construction technology. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we can give you.